Hey, what's going on? Steve Peterson here with Infinity Investments, and welcome to our channel where we talk all things commercial and investment real estate. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about creative financing. That's right, creative financing, and how that can help you to close your deal. Now, I'm not going to go into each method of creative financing. I'm going to give you a few ideas about it. What I am going to talk about is how creative financing can solve problems for buyers and sellers to help you be able to close your deal. And particularly for you, agents and brokers out there, this is an area that I think we need to understand better as we move forward and look to solve problems for clients. And a lot of people just don't know how to maneuver around creative financing. So for me, I started in the business in 2003, right? And I was at college, I was at San Jose State, and I started in commercial real estate then. I got my start in the business. One night I was up late and I ordered the Carlton Sheets no money down system. And I gotta tell you, that was really one of the best real estate, one of the best educational, programs, period, but particularly for real estate that I've ever went through. And I do have the CCIM designation. I've gone through every single class of CCIM, took the test, passed the test, got the designation, which is an amazing program as well. But in the Carlton Sheets No Money Down program, what he talks about, and he also taught you how to analyze property, by the way. But what he talked about is being a positive problem solver. So basically saying when you're a real estate investor, but agents and brokers take note, but when you're a real estate investor, you're looking for problems that you could then solve in a way where it provides a solution for the seller, but it also provides you what you want, which is usually a property with zero or very low amounts of money down that's generating positive cash flow that has built-in equity or built-in upside, essentially. So you're looking for these creative financing strategies to help solve the problem for the seller and offer them a solution, and also for you to get what you want. I'm going to start the video like that because I think, and I've seen this too, I've done 2 deals already this year that involve seller financing. I think as we go forward in the market that we'll see more of that, right? And we're in an interest rate environment that is like unprecedented, right? Very, very low interest rates. It's, easier to get loans. Well, I wouldn't say easier to get the loan, but the money's cheap, right? So as much as you can go out and get financing, people are going out and doing that, right? But here are some scenarios where maybe seller financing can help out. A deal I did this year, seller sold the property to his tenant. Now, the seller didn't want to sell, but the tenant is bugging him, can I buy, let me buy. Seller's like, look, I've sold a bunch of properties recently, 1031, I paid some taxes, I just want my income, right? The tenant was saying, look, I hear what you're saying, I want to be an owner, I want to own, what can we do? And so they reached out to me and we put together a package to where the seller and the tenant can put up a little bit of money, but the seller carried the whole first mortgage. Now, he owned the property free and clear. He carried back the whole first mortgage. And in doing so, he gets to not pay a whole bunch of taxes. He does pay tax on a little bit of money, which I think was like 5% or something like that he got up front. Pay a little bit of taxes on that. But he didn't pay taxes on the whole amount, which was his main concern. And his other main concern as the seller, he wants the cash flow. He wants the income. Right? Because what he didn't want to do, because he'd already done several exchanges, he doesn't want to sell the property and do another exchange. He was just like, look, I got a good property. I love this property. I just want the income from it. So what we did is propose a long-term seller financing strategy where he carries the financing. He gets money every single month, just like the bank. The tenant put a little bit of money up, but now the tenant is making payments to him instead of making payments to the bank. Right? And so now the seller is receiving that interest. And we wrote the interest rate a little bit higher than it would be at the bank. But, it's a lot better than if he just had his money in the bank getting 0.00% or in a treasury note or in a CD or money market or something like that. He's performing much better in an asset that he knows already. So that's a solution for him, right? Now, another example of where there might be a reason for the seller to carry some financing or do something creative. And just real quick, when I talk about creative financing, this is what I'm talking about. Like I just mentioned, seller carried first or second deeds of trust. In the California deeds of trust, other states they call mortgages, same thing. First or second position, right? Leasing a property out with an option to buy. In commercial or multi-units, that's a master lease with an option to buy. Land contracts, or as in California we call it contracts for deed, which is essentially an installment sale. Wrap-around mortgage, where you can create a new first mortgage that wraps around existing financing. Taking the property over subject to, meaning you pay the owner a little bit of money and you just take over their mortgage. You don't qualify for it. You take it over subject to all the terms and conditions and risks of taking over that property. All right. Also, raising capital, syndicating properties, joint venturing with people. These are all methods and ways of creative financing, finding money outside of the bank's money. And you can also combine these strategies with bank money. So those are some of those strategies. I have a video, which maybe you'll see right here, where I go into depth about each one of these strategies and how to work them. What I'm talking about in this video is what are some of the problems out there that you can solve by some of these strategies. I think that's what you ought to be looking for as investors. But listen, really, to the agents and brokers out there, because a lot of agents and brokers don't know how to do this stuff, and they don't know how to get paid on it, which is why they don't like to do it, right? You can get paid on creative financing. It can be a great way for you to solve the problem. Now let's talk about lease options, master lease options, all right? My first deal in real estate was a master lease option on a 6-unit apartment building in Pueblo, Colorado. I put $1 down and took over 6 units, man. It was the best thing I could have ever did. It got me into real estate. It taught me about, tenants, managing property, the whole business, right? And it allowed me to take over a building with $1 down, okay? And a master lease option is the same thing as a lease option, where you lease the property for an amount, right? And then you purchase an option to buy the property. Now, option to buy is time sensitive, so you'll have a period of time in which you have to buy that property. A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever you guys negotiate and agree upon. And typically, you have to put some money up. It had to at least be $1. So my first deal I did was $1. But it literally usually is anywhere from 1 to 5% of the purchase price. Similar to like an earnest money deposit, the difference is you purchase the option. And in purchasing that option, you get what's called equitable title. That means rights to the title. Now, in every state's a little bit different. I think in Texas, they may not allow this, but in the Golden State, we certainly do. In other states, most states throughout the country, they allow you to lease and option a property, right? You can also option a property without leasing it. A lot of developers will do this, okay? Here's how this can be a solution to a seller, okay? So let's just say a seller is having problems with, let's say, an apartment building. But maybe they're making a lot of money in their business or in their job, and they're not really, wanting to go and, pay capital gains or wanting to go in 1031 exchange. If you offer to them, hey, I will master lease this property for X amount. So X amount, you get X amount of money every single month. Okay. Anything over that, Mr. Seller, I get that money. That comes to me. All right. So anything above that master lease payment comes to me. I got to make sure I make that payment every month. So I got to make sure these tenants, Mr. Seller, I'm going to collect the rents, manage the property, take out the toilets, take out the trash, fix the toilet. I'm going to do all of the heavy work. By the way, you can also hire a manager to do that if you don't want to do that. But you can take on that responsibility from that seller. And then say, Mr. Seller, okay, you're receiving your cash flow without the headache. And you've got a built-in buyer who, in the period of time during the option period, I'm going to purchase the property. And what that does to them, that gets them management hassle off their back. It gets them a period of time in which they have a back-end buyer. And if they wanted to do an exchange, and listen to me on this one, agents, because a lot of people will sell their property, and doing an exchange means you have to find a replacement property. That's time sensitive. So it would allow for you to look for that replacement property plenty of time. Once you find it, and then come back, and once you sell your property, then roll into that property, or even do what's called a reverse exchange. But it's a great solution to somebody who's maybe having management problems, but is not ready to sell it. And the third problem I'm going to talk about today, where you can solve with creative financing, is an installment sale or a contract for deed or a land contract. A couple examples of properties that I've sold in the past. I did a deal back in the day in Ohio where we took over the properties, 58 units, we took it over $1 million. and with an installment sale. Put a little bit of money up front. It was like 50 grand up front, 50 to 100 grand up front. And then we made incremental payments. Each quarter, we came with another 50,000. And then at the end, like a year, I think it was 12 months, we were going to pay it off. But in that 12-month period of time, what happened is this: we took possession of the property. And this can happen in a master lease option as well. So the property, when we took it over, had 50% vacancy. So no bank was doing a loan on that. This is how we solved the problem for the seller. Seller was trying to sell the property forever. It's sat in the market a million years. And when we said, hey, well, look, we'll do an installment sale. Give you a little bit of something up front. It's now refundable. So you know we're invested. Meanwhile, we take over, we lease it up. So we leased the property up to 90-something% occupancy. Then we brought on long-term financing. Within that 12 months, paid off the seller, okay? Then we got the property. And when we brought the long-term financing, we structured it as it was an acquisition loan, but it was underwritten like a refinance. And we knew everything we needed to know about the property, and we had our hands on the property, so we were the ones who improved it. We created a ton of value in doing that, and that made a whole lot of sense for the seller as well. So there were just a couple of ideas of problems that you could solve with creative financing. And check out some of the videos I have that go more into detail on that. I think we as practitioners, particularly agents and brokers, need to learn more of this. Each one of the deals I talked about, I got paid as well as a broker on that, and there's ways for you to be able to do it. The bottom line is this: you got to stay nimble, creative, on your toes in order to bring the most value to your clients, or if you're an investor, the most value to your portfolio and the people that you serve, your tenants, your investors, whoever's in your ecosystem. I hope this is helpful. If it is, throw me a like, subscribe, share, tell me I'm crazy. Till the next video, best of success investing. Peace out, y'all.